Good evening, dear sisters and brothers. Welcome to the evening session of Being Heartful Every Day with Swadhyaya. Today is day 30th, and we continue our reflections on this week's theme, which is developing awareness. Yesterday, briefly, we began to explore awareness as the first light on the path of transformation. We saw how, without awareness, even the most sincere spiritual efforts remain surface level. But with awareness, we begin to live from the heart in alignment with the truth. We also touched upon the idea that awareness is not something we acquire externally, it is a natural unfolding, a return to what has always been present within us, though often hidden behind the filters of conditioning, distraction, and inner noise. Daji often reminds us that awareness is the mother of change. It is what allows us to notice not just what we do, but why we do it. It helps us to see the inner mechanics of thought, emotion, and habit without judgment. Today, let's deepen that understanding. Awareness begins when we pause. When we pause, we notice. And when we notice, we have the power to respond consciously rather than react impulsively. In the heartfulness approach, we don't force awareness. We allow it to arise through our abhyas, through meditation, through cleaning, prayer, and reflection. These practices clear the inner clutter, allowing awareness to shine through naturally, like sunlight entering a freshly cleaned room. When we sit in meditation, we rest our awareness on the heart and gently observe. When we clean, we become aware of the burdens that we have been carrying, some without even realizing. And when we reflect at the end of the day, we start to see the patterns. And in time, we begin to catch these patterns as they arise rather only in the hindsight. And this is the gift of Swadhyaya. We gently encourage you to share the invitation of BHED sessions and of master classes with your family and friends so that they can also take the benefit of it. We will now proceed further and read from the article, which is from Discovering the Self. Actually, the PPT is showing some other topic, but the article reading is from Discovering the Self by beloved Daji, which was published in October 2021. Daji continues his series on refining habits in the light of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga and current scientific yogic principles and practices. This month he shares his insights on the fourth niyama, Swadhyaya, which means self-study and self-awareness. It is one of the fundamental pillars of emotional intelligence. The art of removing and creating habits, part 10. I think self awareness is probably the most important thing toward being a champion. Billie Jean King, who looks outside, dreams, who looks inside, awakes. Carl Jung. Yoga in action. Last month, we explored the three niyamas that make up Kriya Yoga, which means yoga in action. In other words, how inner changes in our thoughts and feelings are expressed in our outer behavior. At the beginning of part 2 of his Yoga Sutras, In the section on practice, Patanjali reminds us that tapaha swadhe varna pranadhinani kriya yoga. Austerity, self-study, and God awareness together constitute yoga in action, Kriya Yoga. The second of the three niyamas of Kriya Yoga is Swadhyaya, meaning self-study. But Kriya Yoga is actually more about the inner awareness and choices that define our action in every moment. This awareness purifies our activities of any negative effects of ego, removing selfishness. It propels us away from a habitual way of living, driven by the past, to a life lived in the present. Swadhyaya. Self study requires us to turn out attention inward so that we can learn about ourselves. Now, that can be a daunting business when we don't feel comfortable with what we see. But every culture has recognized the value of self study. So, here we will try to solve the problem of how to face ourselves. Self study has been the cornerstone of psychology from ancient times to the present day in the East and the West, in mysticism, astrology, psychiatry, psychotherapy, yogic psychology, mindfulness, cognitive therapy, and many other fields. Modern science, modern scientific research also tells us that self study and self awareness go hand in hand with meditative practices. The two are synergistic. In Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence, he highlights the research showing us that meditation fosters emotional intelligence, of which self awareness is one of the key pillars. How can you learn about yourself? Why do you need to look within to look about yourself? Knowledge from external sources, for example, observing the world around you, reading books, watching and listening to digital media, and talking with other people like counselors and psychologists will no doubt give you some self insight. But at the best, it is a mirror and a catalyst for self awareness. The most direct ways to learn about yourself are meditation. Meditation with awareness is equal to self study. In meditation, you will be able to notice the play of your vrittis, the movements and vibrations within the subtle body. You may know them as your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And as you witness them gradually, you will learn how they arise, what motivates them, where they lead, and many other things. And when this is done without attachment or desire, you discover that these vrittis no longer generate turbulence or entanglement. They simply pass and you're free from their hooks. Dear sisters and brothers, we will now prepare ourselves for the universal prayer. All brothers and sisters are being filled with love and devotion, and real faith is growing stronger in them. सभी भाई बहन प्रेम और भक्ति से भर रहे हैं और उनमें सच्ची श्रद्धा दृढ़ होती जा रही है। The sacred vibrations of this universal prayer resonate through every being, fostering love and unity in the hearts of all. Dear sisters and brothers, as the day draws to its close, let us enter the sacred space of bedtime prayer and quiet introspection. In the spirit of this week's theme of developing awareness, let us reflect on what new insight did I discover about myself today? Was there a moment where I could have responded with more awareness? And let these reflections arise softly with no pressure or judgment. For awareness is a grace. It blossoms gently when we are receptive and honest with ourselves. In the days to come, we will continue to explore awareness in different layers, how it manifests in us, in our emotions, in our mind, and eventually in our direct experience of the different spiritual conditions we receive from our beloved Master. This journey of developing awareness is not just about clarity, it is also about living more heartfully, more truthfully, moodfully, and more lovingly. Dear sisters and brothers, thank you for being here this evening, and we look forward to seeing you all for the morning session at 6 a.m. tomorrow and to continue on this luminous inner journey. Until then, wishing you all a very good rest and a very good night. Thank you.